Hello, everyone. It's election season, and you may be watching this either before or after the elections in America. And elections always bring out division, right? We're debating over the next step, the future direction, the right policies. But I have a sense that today the elections in the States, and probably elections here in Israel as well, if they were going to happen, we've had enough of them, so maybe we'll get a bit of a break. But also there's a sense that the tone has somehow gotten much more difficult, that people are viewing their opponents not only as wrong or misguided, but even to the point of seeing their opponents as evil. And I think it raises a very important question: how, in a contemporary democratic society where we believe in the rights of individuals to have their own opinions and express themselves, how do we somehow foster all of that and at the same time not fall into a space of such deep division and even hatred for the other side that our ability to build community and build society together is totally undermined? So it occurred to me to look for a model within Jewish tradition, and I started thinking about idolatry. Meaning not that I was thinking of becoming an idolater, but rather look at the way the Tanakh views idolatry. Idolatry is the ultimate evil, right? It represents falsehood. It represents rebellion against our relationship with God, and it's associated with the worst practices, complete debasement and immorality. And from the Torah's perspective, there's no living with idol worshippers, and there's no living with idolatry. The Jewish people are told to remove it utterly from their midst and to destroy all of the vessels and all of the idols and just totally get rid of it, because it is the epitome of evil. It will bring us to evil, and therefore it has to be fought tooth and nail and utterly eradicated. But then you move forward in time to Chazal, to the sages. And the sages, of course, in the land of Israel are living in a very different environment, where they are a cultural and political and religious minority in the land of Israel. And they're confronted with this challenge. What does it mean now, as part of the Roman Empire, to live in society with idolaters, to have idolaters be the people that you might do business with, that you might buy things from in the shuk, that you might even meet for a glass of tea or kosher wine? They might be your neighbor. They might be your business partner. They might be your doctor. They might even be your barber. And I think the sages cultivated an approach that I think is quite important for us at this time. There are many beautiful sources, but in the Tosefta it says that Jews are obligated to take care of idolaters who are sick, to make sure they are buried, to make sure that they have tzedakah if they are poor, to look out for their well-being. It's a striking statement. Here are idolaters, the epitome of all that we're supposed to oppose. And our rabbinic texts tell us when Jews live in community with idolaters, they have to see to their welfare and to their basic needs. And they say there it's because the darkei shalom, because of the paths of peace. Now, some commentators view that in somewhat, I wouldn't say cynical, but maybe a more negative spin, that it's to avoid confrontation. We should take care of them because we don't want them mad at us, and we don't want them, God forbid, to start a pogrom. But Maimonides actually goes in a different direction. When he brings these halachot in his Mishnah Torah, he actually quotes the verse, Derachea darchei shalom, that the pathways of Torah are paths of peace. And he mentions there that God cares and loves for all of his creatures, which means that the reason we have to take care of idolaters is not so we'll avoid enmity or just so we can all get along. We have to take care of them because God created them. And we have to take care of them and look out for them because that Torah wants us to be people of peace and caring and communal responsibility for all human beings, regardless of their beliefs. And I think this is a critical message for us today. We can view our political opponents not just as wrong or misguided. We might even see them as truly being immoral and lacking the values that we believe are so important. But in spite of all that, we need to remind ourselves we are always driven by our commitment to the idea that God loves all of humanity, and we are therefore responsible for the well-being and welfare of all of humanity. And therefore we are instructed to care about and look after the welfare of all of the people we are living with, no matter how deep the political, moral, ethical, economic divisions that divide us. And I'm hopeful that this perspective can be a guiding light for all of us in the Western world who feel so torn apart by the political divisions that divide us, to remember that God's Torah are paths of peace, and we should always keep in mind the essential human dignity of all of the people we are living with, even those with whom we so deeply disagree. May it be a time of peace and prosperity and well-being for the Jewish people and for all the peoples of the world.